And welcome back. Good afternoon. I'm Brandon Scott, live at the Children's Miracle Network Radiothon with Gunderson Health System and Midwest Family. We're at Gunderson in La Crosse for our Radiothon, which goes on until 6 o'clock here today. We'll also be here 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. tomorrow. And I want to thank our Miracle team this hour. Citizens Bank are on the phone bank this hour. That's right. Making some noise. They will be answering your phone calls and taking donations via phone. And there are several ways that you can donate and make miracles happen. After all, that's why we are here. Why we're doing this Radiothon is to make miracles happen for these children and families here in the Coulee region. So feel free to donate whatever you're comfortable doing, because you are the one who are changing kids' health and changing their future. Every donation is appreciated, no matter how big or small. If you want to donate a one-time donation or a reoccurring donation, we just can't thank you enough. So you can call 608-784-KIDS. That is 608-784-5437. You can also text CMN Kids to the number 51555, or you can make a secure online donation to AroundRiverCity.com. That's where you can go to make that online donation. And I must stress that all of the money, every dollar, 100% of the donations go to the Gunderson Health Help Fund, supporting all sorts of various programs within the Children's Miracle Network, items, life-saving equipment, medical care, research, preventative education to help local families here in the La Crosse area. Some of the things not covered by insurance, of course, bills can add up after a while. So all of the proceeds, all of the donations go to those locally here in the Coulee region. Every dollar stays local and goes to support these families. And right now I want to welcome to the Team Marine Family Room, welcome the Lynn family, Goua here from La Crosse, who is the mother of 2-year-old Aries. And thank you for coming today. So Aries, who is 2 years old right now, she was born at 23 weeks, and she weighed 1 pound and 1 ounce. And to put that in perspective, that's like a can of pop.
Yes, that's correct.
And if anybody listening, if you take out your phone, that's basically how big Aries was at 23 weeks when she was born. And she was in the NICU. In fact, there are 8 babies right now in the NICU, premature babies. So walk me through her diagnosis. What is she fighting, and when did you find out what her condition was?
So back in 2018, when she was born, on December the 23rd, I was going through a lot of complications at the time. And so they were really pushing me to get to 23 weeks because that was kind of like the standard thing of when they wanted to get me to be able to have her.
Okay.
So I was having a lot of complications before I got to that point. But then when she was born, I had to be transferred from La Crosse here to the Rochester and Mayo,
Okay.
because they said that it's kind of basically everything's kind of time saving. So it's either I stay here and they fly her for 45 minutes, or I go there and they can do it within minutes.
Sure.
So I just decided that's a lot easier, and that just sounds so much better.
Absolutely.
So we went up there, and then we finally had her on Sunday, on the 23rd of December.
Okay.
And then they just said, there's a lot of complications involved. You know that beforehand, before we did everything, and we just don't know what the outcome is until she is born.
Okay.
So I actually had a C-section, so I was kind of in and out for a couple of days there.
Sure.
So I wasn't really functioning as well, but they finally told me that she did have a lot of complications, but everything kind of settled after a couple days for her. But it wasn't until when I finally, probably the third day, they told me that she had severe pulmonary hypertension and chronic I don't know the technical term for
Sure.
it.
Okay.
But it's basically something with the lung disease.
Okay.
And so she had a lot of these issues when she was born, and they just weren't quite sure of how to go forth with it, because it's not something that they saw every day. It's something that they saw every once in a blue moon.
It's a rarity.
It's a really rarity. And so I kind of was to a point where I wasn't sure what I was gonna do,
Right.
how I was gonna go about it. But every day you just kind of have to
Take it day by day in stride.
Yes.
Yep.
And then just kind of see how it goes from there.
Okay. Now, from the moment she was diagnosed, what went through your mind as a mother, as a family with your husband and your other kids about the road ahead? What was that going to be like for you? What was going through your mind? at this time?
Stressed and chaotic.
Okay.
Just because you've never really had you read about stories about this all the time, and you see it on the news and everything else, and then when it actually happens to you, you just don't know quite to do.
Right.
And you always try to. It's helpful when you're able to communicate with other families who gone through the same process and were able to kind of give you the same thoughts and advice. But
Sure.
for me in that case, it was kind of hard because I could not find that kind of support.
Right.
And that kind of was more stressful for me. And everything I had to do was learn from the doctors and all the residents that were on call there at the hospital. So that's kind of basically what I went through.
Okay, and she spent 15 months in
Yes,
the NICU
months.
in the PICU. So
Yes.
tell me about those 15 months being with her as she fought to survive every day, because essentially, I mean, every day was a moment of life or death
Yes,
for Aries for a while.
it was.
Yeah.
Every other week it was, we're not sure if she's going to survive, so you have to prepare yourself. It was a very emotional toll on me.
bet.
It was, especially when I had 2 other kids, and my husband also was the only one who was the bread maker. So it was a lot, because sometimes in a week I would travel about 2 to 3 times a week, in a month. And so if you think about that, that's a lot
It
from
is a
here to
lot.
Rochester,
Yes.
back and forth.
It adds up after a while.
It does.
Yep.
It adds up a lot of cost. And we basically did that a lot because because at the time I was also breastfeeding her. And so she needed that to kind of help with her immunity. And also to help her bring any extra additional things that they needed to just kind of help support her while she was still being in the NICU for a while there.
And she was ventilator dependent. She
Yes.
had gone through chronic respiratory failure
Yes.
as well. She was intubated for 2 months.
Yes.
She had an NG tube in her nose to help feed her.
Yes.
Basically, her only chance of survival was to get surgery for a trach and G tube
Yes.
and a central line to her heart.
Yes.
She only had a 50-50 chance.
Yes.
She pulled through. What has this process been like for her, for you as a family, these last 2 years? I mean, you guys have been through a lot. Talk about your support
Yes.
system as well, friends and family who've helped you along this way.
I think that it was the hardest decision that I think I, as a parent, would ever have to make about how they would go about in trying to save their child. Because you don't really think about all these things. Your everyday is just kind of everyday thing. But then
Right.
when you have to make these choices, and that's the only choice that she's left with, you kind of think, it's like you just fail with all this hope. You're just like, where does my hope go? Where does everything? How do I go about doing this?
Right.
And so making the decision of doing the surgery, even though they said it's not 100% guarantee, but we're just not quite sure if she's able to tolerate a lot of this. And to think about that, it was just kind of like, well, I guess it is what it is, right? You just kind of have to calm yourself and just hope for the best,
And there still was that chance.
There was still that chance.
Yeah, and that's something you had
Yeah.
to like cling on and hope for.
It is.
Even though it was a 50-50 chance.
It was a 50-50
It's still a chance.
It's still a chance. And I told the doctor directly, I said, even it's a 1% chance, I'll still fight for it.
Sure.
Because it's a 1% chance. It's better than 0.
Absolutely.
Because that every day if she gets better, that chance increases.
Right.
And if the chance increases every day, it's like a miracle waiting to happen. So
Right.
we're just waiting for her to get better every day.
And talk to me about CMN, Children's Miracle Network. How did that come into this picture? How did you get connected with Children's Miracle Network?
When I was in the hospital, everything started to be more of a financial burden. And so it was so much traveling and so much money that, I was full-time, and then I had to go on to part-time. And then because of my kids and going to school and traveling back and forth with them. So I was able to get in touch with the Children's Miracle Network, which they did such a fabulous job. And they were able to kind of help me with a lot of travel expenses.
Okay.
So the donation for that and be able to help me was greatly appreciated. The smallest things always matter to me.
Absolutely.
So it's just everything. When you're going through so much tough time, you just don't think about a lot of these things. And whatever they're able to help you, it's just like a miracle in itself every day.
What are some of the things that they've provided for you and your family?
So they helped me with a lot of just travel expenses. And then when Aries came home, they helped me with like a ramp to the house, and that it kind of helped her, be able to get the mobility and everything
Yep.
going. So
Okay. And we are talking to Goua here, who is the mother of Aries, who is 2 years old. It is the Children's Miracle Network Radiothon with Gunderson Health System and Midwest Family. We are asking for your donation today. There are 3 ways that you can donate. Our Miracle Team, Citizens Bank, is on the phone bank here this hour, waiting for your call. You can simply call 608-784-KIDS, or you can text CMN Kids to the number 51555, or you can make a secure online donation to aroundrivercity.com. So how is Aries doing today? What's a typical day like for her? I'm sure every day can be different. Does she still have a lot of doctor's appointments to go to?
So if you look at Aries today, you would have never imagined this kid was somebody who'd had always gone through these problems, because she just looks like just a regular normal kid,
Sure.
toddler.
Right.
But then, I always, every time she has these appointments with doctors up in Rochester, they're always like, honestly, she is a medical miracle. It's something that we don't see every day. So it's very rare, very rare for her to really actually be a good chance for her to survive.
So what are some things that she likes to do? Does she like to go places?
Oh, she loves the park.
Okay.
But we try to minimize that with
Sure.
a lot of things, but she loves going to the park. She likes going on the swings. Just being a rambunctious 2-year-old.
Okay, right. The terrible twos, as
yes.
I like to call it, right? So your story is very inspiring. Definitely can help others who are going through something similar. So what's your message to people listening? Why should people just take a couple minutes to donate to the Children's Miracle Network today?
Honestly, when I was in the hospital, when I was at lost at odd costs, this is how I imagined hope. I imagined hope as thin as a string of thread.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought that if her chances increases every day, and if we could wrap a thread every day or every time she gets better, at the end of that, it'll come into a rope.
Right.
And she could be able to pull herself out.
Sure.
And then that's the miracle that we've been waiting for.
Right. Well, we appreciate you stopping by. You're very brave for sharing your story with us today, Goua. We wish you and your family the best, and Aries as well. So thank you for sharing your story with us today. Very inspiring, nonetheless. So thank you again.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, we are here. It is the Children's Miracle Network Radiothon with Gunderson Health System. There are a few ways to donate. Pick up the phone. The fine people at Citizens Bank. Our Miracle team is standing by. 608-784-KIDS. That is 608-784-5437. You can text CMN Kids to 51555, or make a secure online donation as well to aroundrivercity.com. So we'll be speaking to more families and some doctors here throughout the day, today and tomorrow. It's Brandon Scott live at the Children's Miracle Network Radiothon with Gunderson Health System and Midwest Family.